Rotak Prabhu, can you just let me share my screen, Prabhu? I'll just share once.
Yes, done, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari 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 Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jaya Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Landanishwara, Radha Landanishwara, Jaya Radha Landanishwara, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha श्री नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। So Hare Krishna everyone, I welcome you all to our Friday evening class. All these years we've been meeting in temple in the warm embrace and shelter of Srila Prabhupada and Panchtattva. Because of the COVID, we are limited to our houses. But while giving the class today, I'm just remembering our wonderful days in the temple, and I wish that we can, soon get together and meet and see each other personally at the temple. Let's pray and hope and that we meet very soon. So today we are meeting to uh, attend the second series of the class, The Essence of Bhagavad Gita, where we are covering the 4 shlokas from the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This chapter is titled The Opulence of the Absolute. And in this 4 shloka, shloka number 8, 9, 10, and 11, it is said that this is the summary of Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna wants to tell us. So we, especially in this Kali Yuga and in this jet age, in this very fast moving time, we all want shortcuts. We all want something to do very instant. So Krishna very well knew this tendency of people from Kali Yuga. So first of all, he asked Vyasdev to compile and summarize the whole Vedanta Sutra into 4 Vedas. And then from Vedas, he wrote so many commentaries and the Upanishads and so forth. And then finally, he gave the Mahabharata. And then again, also his biggest contribution to the whole human society is Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is 12 cantos, and the Bhagavatam itself is fully sufficient to purify us and take us back to Godhead. But Krishna also gave us the Bhagavad Gita, which is just 700 shlokas. Bhagavad Gita, the Gita Jayanti is coming up very soon on 25th of December, where we can read the whole Bhagavad Gita in about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours. But who has the time to read the whole Bhagavad Gita every day? So Krishna very mercifully, he gave these very beautiful 4 shlokas in the middle, that if we can properly understand these 4 shlokas, we can understand Gita very nicely. That doesn't mean that we should not read the rest of the Bhagavad Gita. We must read rest of the Bhagavad Gita, but these 4 shlokas will give us the essence of Bhagavad Gita, what exactly the message of Krishna that he wants to give us. So last week, our dear Navdeep Chandra Prabhu from Bhaktivedanta Manor, he beautifully and very nicely he narrated in a very wonderful way the shloka 8 and 9. But just for today, for our continuation, we'll just a little recap from those 2 shlokas, and then we'll go to the shloka 10 and 11. So before we start, this chapter is titled The Opulence of the Absolute. So you can say opulence of the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, what is the opulence of the Supreme Lord? Everything belongs to him. If you want to say what is the opulence of what is the current rich person? Let's say Bill Gates. He's been a favorite. So what is his opulence? So we can say, oh, he has few $1 billion. So we can say that he has a few $1 billion, or he has a big house, or he has a some big company. So that is his opulence. So what is the opulence of the God? What is opulence of Krishna? So Krishna, he tries to, first of all, he says that there is no limit to his opulence. His opulence is unlimited. How can he list? That this is what I everything. This is what I possess. So in a very short shlokas, he says everything comes from me. Everything belongs to me. So he doesn't have to list because everything belongs to him. Everything, there is nothing outside of him. So in the fish initial shloka from shloka 1 till 7, in the middle says, all the Prajapatis are coming from me, all the demigods are coming from me, all the different qualities of the human beings that he has, it is coming from him, and all the creation, all the planets that are also coming from him. And then in shloka 8, he's saying aham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So in 8 shloka, basically saying everything is coming from me, both material world and spiritual world. Whatever you see, whatever you can feel, it is all created by me. It is all coming from me. And anyone, the wise person who know this, he immediately, starts worshipping him. He devotes his full life to him. Here he says, he, the wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Uh, so Prabhupada in the purport, he gives reference from so many different scriptures, so many Upanishads, and all of them are saying that yes, Krishna is the supreme. And here Krishna himself is saying that he is the source of everything. Everything is coming from me. Uh, There is no such thing in this world which is not coming from Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna. Uh, So this question is a very fundamental question that every human being has in one stage of life or the other. That where is everything is coming from? I have my parents. My parents have their parents. Their parents have their parents. Where did it start from? We see outside. There's a tree. The tree was born from a seed. That seed came from another tree. And that tree came from another seed, and so forth and so on. Huh? So, what is the source? Where did all begin from? That is a fundamental questions that everybody has. Uh, and our dear wonderful scientists, they apply their, beautiful brain into finding out what is the source. So they try to find out, they try to study the stones, and the soils from the earth, saying, what is the age of the earth, and then they try to speculate how long, what is the age of the sun, and then they try to analyze the various rays coming from the universe, analyze, what is the age of the universe, and they are completely bewildered. Nothing makes sense to them. And then they said, okay, let's make an experiment. So they spend billions and billions of dollars and pounds to make an experiment. So, in their experiment, they have a theory that everything started from a big bang. There's a big explosion and everything started. So let's do a small bang. So they do the most smallest bang. So they try to smash to atom. So if you know, in Switzerland there is one experimental place. Is there is I forgot the name. It's called Hadron Collider or something. Our dear one of our devotee was, part of that scientific experiment. Uh, so basically, they're trying to smash two atom with the high speed, and when that atom crashes, what happens? So they thought, if we can get data from that, then we'll know how the universe came from. Uh, but here from the Bhagavatam, we get the information that there is not just one universe. There are countless universe are there. Uh, and and we as a human being, we are not able to even understand one universe, forget about the countless universe. And we get the information from, Krishna book, that actually our universe is very small universe, because our Brahma, who is the, creator of this particular universe, he only has four heads. uh, and there are, according to the size of the universe, Brahma has that many heads. So there are other universes, where Brahma has 10 heads, some Brahma has 10,000 heads, some Brahma has million heads. So according to the size of the universe, the Brahma has that many heads. So our universe compared to other universe is very small, tiny, chota packet, it's very small universe. So we are not able to understand this one universe, and then there are countless other enormous universes are there. And the whole this material creation, it is just coming from the pores of Mahavishnu. uh, and Mahavishnu again is lying in a causal ocean. uh, and then Mahavishnu is the expansion of the expansion of the expansion of the expansion of Krishna. So from Bhagavatam we get the information that Krishna is the source. Then from Krishna expands Balram. Then from Balram comes the first Chaturviya, the four expansions: Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Sankarshan, and Vasudev. And from the Sankarshan comes the Narayan. And from Narayan comes the second quadruple expansion, Chaturvyaha, Aniruddha, Aniruddha, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Sankarshan. I forgot it. Aniruddha, Vasudev, Sankarshan,
Pradyumna.
Pradyumna. Yeah, so the four are there. And then from the second Sankarshan comes the Mahavishnu. And then from Mahavishnu's pores, this whole material creation is made out of, the universe is coming out. And then the universe is, there are, so many planetary systems are there. In the planetary system, we have a small, tiny Earth. And in a small, tiny Earth, we have this small, tiny country called England. And a small, tiny England called city called Manchester or Stoke. We have a very tiny, small house. In a small, tiny house, we have a small, tiny table or a sofa. In a very tiny sofa house, we have a very small, tiny computer or a mobile phone, and then we have a small window. And that's what we are, seeing each other. So we are so tiny, so small, and Krishna is so big. So if with our, this very, 250 grams of brain, we will never be able to understand what is the opulence of Krishna. Impossible. Huh? Just today I was, reading one purport from Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says the maximum we can understand Krishna is 78% or 73%, 73 or 78%. We cannot understand beyond that. That is also a very highly, advanced devotee. Uh, so with our brain, with our logic, we'll never be understand Krishna. So Krishna knows this. Krishna knows our limitations. So he says in this shloka, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matta bhajante mam buddhabhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Huh? Full stop. Huh? There is no need to understand anything more. Everything is coming from Krishna. There is nothing which is outside Krishna. And then Krishna says that wise. The wise Krishna is wise because we all have a very challenging attitude. Maybe Krishna is wrong. Let's find something alternative. Maybe there is another philosophy, another truth. Truth is always one. Uh, so Krishna says wise. The wise means wise people are those who accept the reality and works accordingly. They are called wise people. So those wise who accept Krishna as the reality, uh, uh, then they start worshipping Krishna with their full love and heart. So Krishna says, those the wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So once this fundamental question, that answer that we get, that who am I? Where am I coming from? What is the source of everything? That information we get it from Krishna. Once that question is answered, then all our other curiosities, they can be very easily answered. First of all, then the basic other question is that what am I supposed to do? If Krishna is the Supreme Lord, what am I supposed to do? So that answer Krishna gives in this ninth shloka, where he says, Madchita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Uh, so, this is what the condition of the people who understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uh, so, this is what their activities are, and this is what they derive the great satisfaction and bliss. In this world, everybody is after satisfaction and bliss. Uh, but all satisfaction are and the bliss are very temporary. Uh, Those who are into politics, their party wins, then they are satisfied, they are very blissful. But after next 3 or 4 years, the same party loses, then their satisfaction and bliss is gone. uh, or some person, they are supporting some football team or some sports team. uh, their team the team wins for some time, then they are very satisfied and blissful. But after a few weeks or months, the same team again loses, so that satisfaction and bliss is gone. uh, but then here Krishna is saying that devotees, they derive the very transcendental satisfaction and bliss, that bliss which is permanent. It is never taken away. So Krishna says, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are fully devoted to my service. So this is what their activity is. Their life is fully devoted in service of Krishna. This is what their activities are. So they have no other business except for serving Krishna. So please remember, first we understood Krishna is the supreme, and second, as soon as the wise person, the devotee who accepts Krishna as the supreme, he immediately engages the whole life in the service of Krishna. And then Krishna is saying, once they do engage their life in their service, what happens to them? Generally, when we accept some service, some job, or some project, you know, the job and projects and all the business and so many things are so troublesome. Huh? Nobody wants to go home, nobody wants to go to work. They are going to work because if they don't work, they don't get money. So they are forcefully working. But here, so nobody wants to do service in this world voluntarily. So when the devotees of the Lord, when they engage in the service of Krishna, what happens to them? So there Krishna is saying, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another. From that service, when they do the service to the Krishna, they derive great satisfaction and bliss from enlivening one another. So they are engaging service in the Krishna and all the devotees around them. They are deriving great pleasure and bliss, and they are enlivening each other. There is a nice, friendly relationship with them. There is no conflict. There is no competition. Everybody is encouraging everyone. That yes, let's do service of Krishna. Let's please Krishna. Let's make the best offering we can make for the Krishna. And everybody is helping each other. Nobody is trying to pull down the other person down. There is no envy. There is no competition. Everybody wants to encourage each other in the service of Krishna. And next he says, enlivening one another, conversing about me. And what are they talking? They're just always talking about Krishna. So this is what happens when someone who accepts Krishna as a supreme, he engages in the service of Krishna. First of all, he becomes completely blissful and satisfied. And he has a wonderful relationship with his fellow devotees. They're enlivening each other. And they're always talking about Krishna. And then they are so blissful. So this is the message that Krishna wants to give us. First of all says he is a supreme, and next he says become my devotee, engaging in my service, then you will become perfectly blissful and satisfied. And you'll be very enlivened. There'll be no competition. Everybody will be encouraging each other. Here in this material world, as soon as someone becomes more famous, or more opulent, there is always enmity. The more bigger you become, the more enemies that you have. Everybody wants to pull down. Somebody is a great sportsman. There is another challenger comes. He wants to defeat that sportsman. There is a political party. Is there another political party wants to defeat that party? There is a nice actor. He is becoming doing very lot of nice acting or movie. Then another actor, he wants to be better than him. So that everybody is pulling down each other in this world. Everybody is envious. When somebody achieves something good in this world, it is said that he creates more enemy than the friend. Uh, so this is the condition of this world. But in Krishna's service, everybody is encouraging each other. Uh, Here, let's take one, wonderful, example that in spiritual world, the Radharani, she is the best devotee of Krishna. uh, but she is always, requesting Krishna, oh Krishna, this devotee is very nice, please accept his service, please accept her service. So in a spiritual world, nobody wants to personally, want to become the best devotee of Krishna. Everybody wants everybody else to become the best devotee of Krishna. Uh, but here in the material world, everybody by themselves wants to become the best. Everybody wants everybody else to be the inferior to them. But in spiritual world, the greatest devotee Radharani, uh, her desire is that they let other devotees become the best devotee of Krishna. So Krishna is inviting us through this shloka, that this is where we belong. This is where there are houses. That's where our position, our real, shelter is, to come to that spiritual world, where we are Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha, where we are simply serving Krishna, where we are happy and satisfied, and everybody is encouraging each other to become devotee and please Krishna. And now we come to the 10th shloka, which is actually the shloka for tonight. So, this shloka, I would request if anybody would like to um, just recite translation and the purport. If you want to do this, if you want to do the Sanskrit, that's very good. But if not, just translation and purport.
Is that 10.9, Prabhuji?
10.9, yes. Sorry, 10.10, Prabhu. No, 10.10.
Okay. Did you say Sanskrit as well?
If you want, if you want,
Yeah.
if you yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Did you read a little bit of purport as well?
Yes, Prabhuji. Whole purport,
Acha.
Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. In this verse, the word buddhi yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of buddhi yoga. Now, buddhi yoga is explained. Buddhi yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence, and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is a process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know what the goal is. One should know that the goal is Krishna. And when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life, but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Right. Thank you so much, Madhu Kumar Prabhu. It's very kind
Hare
of you.
Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So the shloka 10, the translation is, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So now Krishna is going one step ahead. So earlier he said, those who are serving me, they become satisfied, they become blissful. So as soon as one becomes a devotee of Krishna, he becomes satisfied and he becomes blissful. And he has, all the devotees, encouraging him in this world. Though he is still in the material world, he is liberated. Many places Prabhupada tells us that actually the devotee is liberated as soon as he starts his Krishna consciousness. It's just a matter of time that he physically is transferred to the spiritual world when he gives up this body. But as soon as somebody is engaged sincerely in the service of Krishna and following Krishna consciousness, actually he is liberated. He is just just spending his whatever required time is there in this world, then he's going back home, back to Godhead. So while he is there in this world, he still gets the same uh, bliss that he's going to get in the spiritual world. By just serving Krishna and talking about Krishna, by conversing about Krishna, he becomes blissful and becomes satisfied. And now Krishna is telling, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So here Krishna is kind of giving us the guarantee that those devotees who are constantly serving me with love, Krishna says, I give them the understanding by which they will come back to me. So here, there are some questions can be asked. Why Krishna is saying that I give the understanding? Why Krishna did not say that I will take the devotee back home, back to Godhead? So here Krishna is saying, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So my dear friends, we many times we discuss that bhakti is completely voluntary. We came in this world with our own choice. We were nicely serving Krishna in spiritual world, but with our misfortune, we chose to come to this world. So by our choice, we came to this world, and with our own choice only, we will go back home, back to Godhead, back to Krishna. So Krishna is not saying I will take you, but he's saying I will give you the understanding by which you can come to me. So it is completely voluntarily. Whether we want to stay here and rot in this world, it is our choice. But if you want to go back home, back to Krishna, then also is our choice. If you want to go back home, back to Krishna, then Krishna says, those who are serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So Prabhupada talks about the Buddhi Yoga. That let me read some of the lines on the purport. In the second part, the end part of that paragraph, Prabhupada says the ultimate goal of the process is Krishna, People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotee and the bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna and then the goal is assigned. Then the path is slowly but progressively traversed and the ultimate goal is achieved. Uh, So that Buddhi Yoga or the devotional service, one knows what is the goal of the life. Uh, and Prabhupada, I really, love Prabhupada. His small sentence in the purport, they are like, bullets. They go right into the heart. So he's saying the ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotee and bona fide spiritual master are important. So 99.99999% people of this world don't know what is the goal of their life. So here Prabhupada is saying the ultimate goal of life is Krishna. And people do not know this. Uh, so to let the people know what is the goal of their life, the association of a devotee and the spiritual master is very much necessary. Uh, So again, Prabhupada, he gives this, wonderful connection that to achieve Krishna, what we require is the association of a devotee. In that, actually, that association, when this we get the desire to go back home, back to Krishna, and when we have the desire, then Krishna he gives that understanding by which we can go back home, back to Godhead. Hmm? Again, going back to Godhead is completely voluntary. Uh, Krishna will give all the facility uh, to to go back, but it is our choice, our desire. If we don't desire, then we will never be able to go. So our desire is very much required. And then in that purport, uh, I read some of the lines of Prabhupada. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attend to him. Uh, that Prabhupada says once we are engaged in the service of Krishna, and that service or work should be with love. And when we are serving Krishna with love, Krishna he gives that understanding, that intelligence from within the heart. So in this world, many people, they are, some are very less literate, some are, PhD, some are big scientists, some are astronauts. Everybody, they have some sort of knowledge. But the supreme knowledge or supreme understanding is that by which one goes back home, back to Godhead, to Krishna. And that knowledge or that understanding can only be given by Krishna, that nobody can give. And that is possible only when we are serving Krishna in the association of a devotee, under the instruction of a spiritual master. Uh, and that understanding does not depend whether you are, whether you know how to read or write, or whether you know how to operate computer, or whether you know how to drive a car. Uh, the bhakti is completely independent. Uh, when somebody serves Krishna with love and devotion, when Krishna is pleased, Krishna gives that ultimate understanding immediately. As soon as Krishna is pleased, with the devotee's service. So whether one is rich or a poor, it's not that those who are rich person, they cannot become a devotee. No, if they are also engaged in the service of Krishna, Krishna gives that understanding by which they'll go back home, back to Krishna. If somebody is extremely poor, but in his own ability is serving Krishna, Krishna gives that understanding. Whether one is a child or a woman or a man, whether one is rich or a poor, educated, uneducated, whether one is living in a village or a city, bhakti is completely independent. Here Prabhupada says the qualification is that person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness with love and devote with love and devotion, render all kinds of services. That is the only qualification, that you engage yourself in the service of Krishna. Then Krishna says, he says, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So that is Krishna's guarantee. Uh, so there is no qualification required to achieve the mercy of Krishna except for only one, that we lovingly serve him. That is the only qualification required. Now let's move on to the last shloka from this Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. So someone, they can read the translation and purport from this 11th shloka. If they want to recite Sanskrit, that's well and good. If not, then just the translation and purport. Anyone?
I'm happy to go again, Prabhu.
Yes, Mantakumar, please go ahead. I think
10.11?
10.11. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Tesam evano kampartham aham ajnanayam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnanadipena bhashvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with a shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Purport as well?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God, as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the Supreme Truth, the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, simply by speculating. For the Supreme Truth is so great that it is not possible to understand Him or to achieve Him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the Supreme Truth, he will never understand Krishna or the Supreme Truth. Only by devotional service is the Supreme Truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is a special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association through many, many millions of birds, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Right. So thank you very much, Mother Prabhu.
No problem, Prabhupada.
Translation again of Shloka 11. To show them special mercy and dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So earlier Krishna said, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And now he's saying that to show them special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. The first is saying that with my when I give the understanding, you can come back to me. The next is saying that when I give the knowledge, by that all the darkness is removed. Huh? So first is understanding, but there is a chance that we might be again deluded by material energy. Huh? So here Krishna is saying that with the shining knowledge, the shining lamp of knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance is removed. So once we have the proper knowledge, what is what, then there is no fear. We can take the decisions properly. In this world, the fear or the anxiety or uncertainty is there when there is no knowledge. For example, uh, if we from our house, if we know I have to go to London, uh, so that if I go to my house, I take a left turn, and then I walk certain distance, then there'll be railway station, and I pick up a train, and then I go to the London. So you have a knowledge that this is how I go to the London. So you have a knowledge. But suppose everything is dark and you don't know what is left and right. You don't know where the train station is. Or no, first of all, you don't know whether a train is there or not. So when you don't have a knowledge, when you don't have a goal in your life and you don't know where to go, then the life is completely miserable. So Krishna here is saying that first he gives the understanding how you can come back to me. That goal of the life is to come back to Krishna. With that understanding, we can go to Krishna. Then he gives a knowledge of what is right and what is wrong, and all the ignorance is removed. So our journey going back home, back to Godhead, it is without any trouble, because we know what is our purpose and how do we get there. That knowledge is there. So that is a very supreme mercy of Krishna. So these four shlokas, they are so great. In first shloka, Krishna says, "Who is the supreme?" And second, he says that uh, that
I'm the
those who are
source.
those wise people, they are engaged
Mm.
into my service. And the third one,
Mm.
he says that as soon as in the second one, you become blissful and happy. The third one, that you will go back to Krishna by his understanding. And the fourth one is that by that knowledge, the complete knowledge, with that knowledge, the ignorance is removed. Uh, So this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. That our goal of life is to serve Krishna. And how to serve Krishna and how Krishna helps through his understanding and knowledge. This is the summum bonum of the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada, again, is a very beautiful, purport is given in uh, this shloka. So I like the one which is the mentioned here in the purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So
Can
Prabhu,
I just
yeah,
add a little bit while you're
yes,
looking up?
yes, go on, Prabhu.
I'm just reading the purport that you asked me to, and while reading the purport, just at the start, it makes a reference to how the Mayavadi so-called learned philosophers were deriding Mahaprabhu for being a sentimentalist.
Mm,
And quite often, sincere, pure devotees who are totally absorbed in devotional service are looked upon as unintelligent people who don't have much knowledge of how the world works materially. But the purport is confirming, and we also know from the examples of pure devotees such as the gopis that it takes many lifetimes to come to that level of understanding that the primary goal is to reconnect ourselves with the Lord. And we know for a fact from reading the scriptures that gopis, even though they were externally simple cowherd girls, in Lord Ramachandra's pastime, they were very, very learned sages of their time. So the understanding is devotee who is expressing a complete absorption in service has already passed all those stages of acquiring all sorts of knowledge and then coming to the level of appreciating that the ultimate goal is to remain in service and by that process get back home.
mm, mm. Yes, yes, very nicely put, Prabhuji. You know that devotees, they are not sentimentalists. In fact, they are the most intelligent person. I would like to just, rephrase, your wonderful understanding with just one story that I heard sometimes back. That once there was a river, and the other side of the river, the people were, toiling. They were carrying this stone from one place to other, day and night, hard labor, day and night, just doing hard labor. And the other side of the river, the people were just helping each other and enjoying, life very nicely. So the one day, somebody said, okay, let's go to the other side of the river and ask these people, you come to this side, and then you can enjoy life with us. Why are you toiling, in this, carrying the stones? So one noble soul, he crossed the river, and uh, he went there and he asked the people there that, you plus please come with me to the other side. There is a nice, houses are there. You can live very nicely. All the food is provided. So the leader of that other side of the river said, "Do we have to carry stone there?" So he said, "No, you don't have to carry stone there." Then he said, "We don't want to come there." Huh? So this is, how by living in this world, and suffering for countless life after life after life, we have lost, even the experience, that what exactly our eternal position is. Our eternal position is to enjoy with Krishna in His service. That is our, you know, that is our constitutional position. Actually, we are meant to enjoy. Spiritual life is nothing but enjoyment. Huh? And when the people outside, when they see the devotees are, very dancing and chanting on the street, they're having wonderful kirtan in the temple, they're having a nice prasadam, and they are, scratch their head, how come these people are so happy? We have to become happy, we have to go to the nightclub, we have to have change girlfriends every 2 months, we have to go to a party and, go to a particular sports arena, or, so many ways they try to become happy. uh, and they are like, they are carrying their stones, heavy stones, every day, on their back. uh, and devotees, simply by serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna, they're just happy. And then everybody is, encouraging each other, that you become a nice devotee, you become nice devotee. And when the karmis outside, when they see us, they say these people are crazy. How come they are happy without working hard? Huh? So actually, this is the actual position, that devotees, or the we as a, part and parcel of Krishna, we living entity, we are meant for enjoyment. but our enjoyment is in service to Krishna. So enjoyment is not wrong. In fact, it is our fundamental right to enjoy. But we have forgotten how to enjoy. And here in these four shlokas, Krishna is telling us, how to come to that permanent enjoyment place by going back home, back to Godhead. So I got a few points, from the purport of this shloka. But Prabhupada in the last paragraph, he says, I'll just read the line again. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. So Prabhupada is saying the devotee should not worry or anxious about the material necessities of life. Krishna provides everything. Uh, Now, this is such a common sense. If we just apply our little common sense. Earlier, Krishna says that everything comes from me, and he's in full control. Uh, so when a living entity becomes his devotee, it is not a very big task for a Krishna to provide the necessities of life to this person, because he is the owner of everything. He can give the material necessities that devotee requires very easily. Uh, and then Prabhupada also mentions in the purport that Krishna is in the heart, and he knows what my devotee requires. So whatever that thing that the devotees require, Krishna provides very easily. Uh, and we can give very thousands of examples of how Krishna provides everything to everyone. Uh, and in Gujarati we have one saying, "Kidine kan, hathine man." That Krishna, he provides that grain of rice to every ant every day. Now, where is that supply chain or distribution center for ants? Every ant in the whole of the earth, they get their food, no matter where they are. Uh, and the elephant, he eats about 20 kilo of food every day. Uh, so he doesn't have to work very hard. His food is provided. So when Krishna wants to provide to his, he is providing to the animals. Do we think that Krishna is so, helpless that he is not able to provide to his own devotee who wants to come back home, back to Godhead? In fact, just a couple of days back, we were discussing uh, that when someone becomes a devotee, the Lakshmi Devi herself wants to come and serve that devotee. Can you imagine? The goddess of fortune, she wants to come and serve the devotee. Huh? But she will only give the opulence that is convenient, that is helpful to his devotion. Because again, Krishna is Lakshmi Pati. If devotee requires certain material necessities or opulence, then Krishna will provide through the agency of Lakshmi Devi. But if the material opulence is not good for him, then Krishna will tell Lakshmi Devi, please don't provide anything to him. No matter how much he requests, don't give him. Then Lakshmi Devi, she is powerless. So sometimes we see, some devotees, because under the supreme power of Krishna, if material opulence is not good for him, however much hard work he will do, he will not get money. Uh, and if some devotee, if he requires some money or some material opulence, then he is provided by some miracle arrangement. Uh, why? Because Krishna is a Lakshmi Pati. When Krishna wants to provide to someone, there is no power who can stop it. Yeah, and he just need to tell Lakshmi Devi, please provide these things to my devotee, and she is very happy to do it. Hmm. And then let me just conclude with these lines from Prabhupada from the purport. He's just summarizing the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So please read it, hear it very carefully. So Prabhupada is saying, this is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. So this is the summary of or the essence of Bhagavad Gita in the beautiful words of Srila Prabhupada. That Bhagavad Gita helps us to surrender to Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. Very grateful to your wonderful presence today. If anybody has any questions or comments, I will try to answer your queries or comments.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mother Kumar Prabhu.
Prabhu, very wonderful point about opulence and the availability of opulence to the devotee. The Lord is obviously the source, and He is Narayan. So Lakshmi is never away from Him in that regard. So if we are truly seeking the Lord and we try and keep Him with us, then as much as is required, Lakshmi will always be there. But the key point is how much is conducive. How much is conducive, that much will always be there. So a sincere devotee will never ever have any anxiety or stress. That is my first-hand experience as well. As long as you learn to depend and realize that the Lord will give you as much as is conducive. Rudy, at the start, you were talking about some study being done about how much we can understand Krishna. Was it 78 or 7 to 8%?
I'll read it again to I'll tell you. That was in the
yeah.
Final chapters of first canto. I read it.
Okay.
Read it and tell you again, Prabhu.
No problem.
I
Also,
think
you
it's
were giving
78, something like that. It is there,
Achha. You were giving description of the spiritual and the material world and how insignificant we are. I think we still have one or two Goloka chart posters. If anybody wants to have that visual, we can provide. And we also have a nice DVD by the person who's created that chart for the full explanation of how to understand that Goloka chart and truly understand how insignificant we are in the big scheme of things. And then, it's very easy to appreciate Krishna, who is he and who we are. And still, he makes himself accessible for us to love him and interact with him in so many ways.
Very well. So this is our perfect ISKCON Manchester team. Somebody gives class and other person comes and sells the book and the Goloka chart. Thank you, Mother Kumar.
No, a very important point. You touched upon this. I was thinking I'll hold it for some other session, but we have how many? About 18 people, including you and me. This opportunity to serve and preach is very, very rare and only accessible to people of this material world. We must recognize that. Why? Because in the spiritual world, there is no opportunity for preaching. Everyone is already a devotee. so there is no preaching happening there. So if you want to pick up a little very easy process, it is only available here. And one simple way of preaching is to distribute books. So yeah, I would keep pushing and encourage everyone as much as possible, because this is the only place we can really do it. I think just on that point, we're towards the end. I'm not sure, Gauranga, who might have some closing comments.
Yeah, before we move on to the announcements, are you anything else? Any other questions or any comments before we move on to the announcements or any other topic?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to ask Madhav Kumar Prabhu, how much is the Golok chart?
I think it's under 25 something. It's a big chart with the disc.
25 quid?
Something like that, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
No problem.
Okay, so let me see any comments from, so a couple of comments on YouTube saying it's a wonderful class. Thank you very much, Radhamohan Prabhu. So before I make announcements, today I just wanted to read a couple of quotes from Prabhupada. Maybe I'm planning to introduce this. I will probably assign this service to a devotee. maybe we can read a little bit, a quote or something like that from Prabhupada, just to give a variety. So now I request Rajkumar Govinda Prabhu to read these quotes and excerpts that I've taken from Prabhupada. So Rajkumar Govinda.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada said, you have to read my books. If you don't read my books, you are putting your life in danger.
There you go. So we become weak if we don't read. That is not the only process, but that is the main process. Prabhupada said, when we chant, when we read, we are in touch with Krishna directly. This is another beautiful quote. Please go ahead.
Unless we regularly release topics about Krishna, we will become spiritually weak and fall down. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 25-20. Men become strong and stout by eating sufficient grains, but the devotee who simply eats ordinary grains but does not taste the transcendental pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna gradually become weak and fall down from the transcendental position. However, if one drinks but a drop of the nectar of Krishna's pastime, his body and mind begin to bloom and begin to, you have to scroll down.
Okay, laugh, sing, and dance. So there is a little problem, I guess. Yeah. So thank you, Rajkumar Govinda Prabhu, for reading those two wonderful things. This is the special month. Everybody knows Gita Jayanti is coming up. It falls on 25th, Christmas Day, this month, this year. So we will have a full recitation of Bhagavad Gita starting from 1 p.m. And we are also planning to do a fire sacrifice towards the end to conclude the entire recitation. So I request devotees to kindly take part in it. And on the 27th Sunday, we will do full English recitation, only texts, means which translations we will read, complete translations. So you can also take part in that session. Madhav Kumar Prabhu, you wanted to say anything about books and Gitas, calendars, or anything?
Well, just that try and distribute as much, because it's the best time of the year. People are in a mood to give and take, share. So utilize the opportunity. And I've just, when you brought those quotes up about reading Prabhupada's books, I got reminded of Sutapa Prabhu's comment he shared with us once, that reading of Prabhupada's book and books about Krishna is like giving a shower to our mind, and that needs to be done daily. And when we do that for ourselves, we must develop a little bit of care and concern for others to give them the opportunity at the same time, at least to friends and family. So any books, any quantity of calendars, anything you'd like to offer as spiritual gifts to friends and families, I'm here at your service.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Madhav Kumar Prabhu. So this month we are dedicating our classes to glorify Gita, to take the essence of Gita entire month. That is the topic for this particular month. So on that note, we have a guest speaker this Sunday from Birmingham. He is an orthopedic consultant. His name is Chakradhari Prabhu. So he will be speaking on the glorification of Gita. It will be at usual time, 1 p.m. So kindly take part in it. So nothing from me. That's it. Anything else from Radhamohan Prabhu or Rajkumar Govinda Prabhu? Anything did I miss or add? You wanted to add anything?
No, nothing.
Radhamohan Prabhu?
No problem, no, not from my side.
Okay, so thank you very much, Radhamohan Prabhu, for that wonderful summary of Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. That was very relishing. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada
Hare Krishna.
ki
Jai.
jai.
Jai
Nanda
Prabhupada.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Nitai
Jai.
Gaura Premanandi. Hari
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 Bol.
Bol.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.